Now I'm going to prepare the creme anglaise buttercream, and all we do is mix the egg yolks into the weighed powdered sugar, and we'll put a small pinch of salt and the hot milk. Just a small pinch of salt. Okay, the milk is hot, so I'm going to whisk it in to the sugar and egg yolk. The interesting thing about this technique for a creme anglaise buttercream is that it uses powdered sugar. And in the United States, excuse me, powdered sugar has 3% cornstarch. And that 3%, even though it doesn't sound like it's very much, it's placed in the powdered sugar to prevent lumps from forming. It's actually enough just to stabilize the egg yolks. So what we get is a custard that we can bring to a full boil. Okay, so the custard, I have a medium heat. We're going to put the custard on, and we're going to whisk it non-stop. You can't stop whisking this until it comes to a full boil. Okay, the custard is coming very close to the boil. The bubbles have become very small, pretty uniformly over the surface of the custard. And I continue to whisk, waiting for the actual boil. It's just now beginning to boil. And it's also, as it boils, all of those surface bubbles disappear. So what I'm going to do now is take the custard and place it in the mixer bowl, and because I'm making Moka, the Swiss Moka, what I've done is I've put 2 teaspoons of instant coffee and 3 ounces of bittersweet chocolate in the bowl. So I'll pour on the hot custard, let it sit for 5 minutes, and then we'll begin mixing it and allowing it to cool down. Here I go, just pouring that custard right into the bowl. Okay, the custard has rested 5 minutes, and now I'm mixing in the chocolate. Bittersweet chocolate chips is what I used, and make sure you use real chocolate chips or a good quality chocolate if that's what you prefer. And I put in the 2 teaspoons, as I said, of instant coffee. Okay, the custard's cool, so I'm going to put in some homemade vanilla. Vanilla is important wherever there are eggs or egg yolks in a recipe, because they help kind of smooth out the taste of the eggy component in any recipe. And now I will start softening the butter by hand, just throwing it right into the cooled creme anglaise. And that is the end of the butter. And you can see the buttercream looks almost like it's chocolate because of the 3 ounces of bittersweet chocolate that are in it. If you didn't want it to be quite as chocolatey, you just put 1 ounce or even 2 ounces. This buttercream is really wonderful because it's almost, oh my God, it's so delicious. So chocolatey and full of coffee. And certainly the coffee accentuates the chocolate flavor, so it's really a great combination. Well, our genoise is cooled completely. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut it into 2 layers. You could do 3, but if you're a beginner, do just the 2. And you see what I'm doing? I'm just using a serrated knife, keeping it and resting my hand and using it to keep kind of level, and just going right along. And there's the inside. The genoise is just magnificent. So what we will do now is I've covered a cake cardboard in some aluminum foil, and what I like to do is dab a place on the cardboard with some of the buttercream, and that way it holds the cake pretty much in place. Now I've prepared syrup and I've put dark rum into it, and we used 4 eggs to prepare this recipe. So you want to use, about 12 tablespoons, 3 tablespoons per egg of the syrup. Half will go on this, so it's about 6 tablespoons, and half will go on the other part of the cake. Sometimes I'll put my syrup into a spray bottle, just a plant sprayer, and you could use that to spray the syrup on also. It works really well. So there I go. Now place some of our beautiful buttercream. Now this other part of the cake will pretty much get just about the remainder of the syrup. Okay. Then just place this layer on top. Give it just the slightest bit of pressure. Now we can do a little more brushing with the syrup. Okay. Now just come in off the edges to get a nice clean edge. And I tend to decorate the cake pretty much the way they do in France and in Switzerland too. They pretty much both present this cake the way I'm going to finish it. Now, one thing I did want to show you is I've got some ground hazelnuts, which are really great with this particular cake. And I'll show you an easy way to get your hazelnuts onto your cake if you should decide, or any nuts. You could use ground almonds. I wouldn't use pistachio with this, but you could probably use pecans, hazelnuts, almonds, and the pistachios I'm just not sure how well they would be complemented by the coffee. That's the only reason I wouldn't use them. Okay, but here's what I'm going to do next. What I've done is put my toasted chopped hazelnuts in a pan, and I'm going to get the frosted cake up. Just trim off okay, here we go. So get the edge of the cake near the pan and use your hand and come up. Just bring the nuts, gently press them into the buttercream. And voila! Okay, so with the cake in front of me, I'm going to go one direction. Just put a little bit of a line in the cake, and then perpendicular. There we go. Now, you'll see why I did that. And there we have it, the Gateau Moka. Well, I hope this has been helpful, and I hope you'll try to do the Genoise. It's a wonderful, versatile cake, and over the course of the next couple of months I'm going to be doing a lot of cakes based on taking a Genoise and then doing a variety of things with it. So for Baker's Passion, I'm Ray Madursky, and I want to say thank you. Now, my favorite time of every video and every baking day is tasting, to see how we did. Oh my gosh. The Genoise is so light and wonderful. And I do use the rum, but you don't have to, but you do need to soak, even if it's just with simple syrup, the sponge. But the rum complements the coffee and the buttercream, and it's just amazing.